What is going on, ALC community groups? My name is Tyler Bueno, and I am more than happy to bring you tonight's message. Ways your hope can add great blessings to your life. So imagine with me, if you will, it's the top of the fourth quarter. You're down by 10 points, and majority of your team is out, and it's just you and the bench warmers. Sounds like you really don't have any hope, right? That's exactly how I feel in this season right now. See, I'm trying to find work, and it's not just this month, it's been this whole year, trying to find work that will work with my schedule. And it's been really hard. And I'm not going to lie to you, I have to pray every morning for hope for that job. And hope is hard to have. It's really hard, especially in dry seasons. It feels like all hope is lost, or maybe you're just putting all your hope in one earthly thing, whether it's a job or a promotion or a person. The thing is, we can't do that. We have to have our hope in the living hope, Jesus Christ. So let's look at the message today. And it comes from Luke 1:41 through 45. At the sound of Mary's greeting, Elizabeth's child leaped within her, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit. Elizabeth gave a glad cry and exclaimed to Mary, "God has blessed you above all women, and your child is blessed. Why am I so honored that the mother of my Lord should visit me? When I heard your greeting, the baby in my womb jumped for joy. You are blessed because you believed the Lord would do what he said." I love the visual of baby John jumping in Elizabeth's belly and just dancing with joy. It reminds me of David just dancing like a fool, because we all do it when we're really happy, we're filled with joy. It's just, I don't know why, it just makes me happy. But at a surface level, what does this have to do with hope? Because that's what I question too. But we have to look at what's not in the text at that moment. Elizabeth and her husband Zechariah were barren. They were old, they couldn't have children, and when they were told they could, Zechariah, he was like, "I don't think so. No, there's no way." And because of that, he couldn't speak. He knew all these things that were going to happen, but he couldn't say a word about it till the baby was born. Let's look at Mary. Mary was a virgin. She wasn't married, but yet she was pregnant. Joseph could have had her stoned, but he didn't because the Lord intervened. We also have to look at Israel at the time. What was happening? Well, King Herod was sending out his men to go kill babies because he was terrified there was a king that was going to replace him. There was no hope to be found. That's why when this moment happened, when John was filled with the Holy Spirit and was jumping in Elizabeth's belly, it was this hope for change. It was this hope that the Lord would do what he said. So let's look at ways that our hope can bring us blessings. Number one, our relationships. So verse 43 again. Why am I so honored that the mother of my Lord should visit me? So last year, if you don't know, my wife and I joined Abundant last July. And our first time we were here, there was a guest speaker. And he was passing around a Starbucks gift card, and it jumped from person to person as part of his illustration. Well, after service, my friend took me to go meet one of the leaders. And the leader it had gotten to him, and he handed me the card, and so we had $15 from Starbucks, yay. But it also opened the door to a relationship there. We ended up going home. We said hi. We ended up going home. And when we got home the next day, we had received a cutoff notice for our utilities. Now, I was at another season where I was jobless, and my wife was about to start a job. And we were just at a point where we didn't have the finances. We were like, where's this money going to come for this utility bill? And I just remember praying and praying. And the next Sunday rolls around, and I remember waking up Sunday morning and God saying, "Go find that leader that you met last week." And I was like, okay, I'll go do that. And I come to church, and we go through praise and worship. We go through the message, and I'm looking around, and I don't see that leader. I don't know where he's at. He's not here. And I'm like, God, are you sure this is right? Maybe it's in my head. And then I see him walk down the aisle. I'm like, okay. And then he sits down. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Altar call happens, and the youth are doing the altar call. And I'm like, this seems weird. Okay. But then he stands up and he joins the youth. And I was like, okay, it fits. So I get up, I go, I tell him what's going on. He prays over me. He asked me, how much is the bill? I tell him. And he says, I'll text you later. And then a few hours after service, I get a text saying, what's your Venmo? And I tell him, and then he sends the money that I needed. And I said, you didn't have to do that. And he said, the Spirit told me. And that's been part of the foundation of why we stuck at Abundance so long, is because of the hope that God said, do this. We did it. And it was just an amazing blessing. And that leader and he's probably one of my best friends to this day because of that. And that relationship was developed there. Number 2, stronger faith. So around the same time, looking for a job, I was at a breaking point, and I was in my office, and I was just praying. I was just trying to talk to God, and I just started shouting the words, use me in whatever way you want, Lord, whatever way. And he listened, because a few weeks later, I was on stage playing the bass. Mind you, I've never played the bass in my life at this point, never touched one. I played a little bit guitar, wasn't that great, but I was playing bass for the worship band. And I can't tell you what happened, but I was able to do it with confidence. And in doing that for 6 months, I had the opportunity to lead worship over at our new Great campus. And it was just having faith in the Lord and hope in the Lord that opened that door. And I will say that even though it wasn't a 9-to-5 job, God used me and my talents where they were needed. And lastly, we have abundance. So let's go back to verse 45. You are blessed because you believe that the Lord would do what he said. I don't believe there's ever been a time that we've gone without. My wife would say every odd year we would have an abundance, and every even year we would struggle. And even though we struggled, I look back now and I see that God has always pulled us out of it. Even if it isn't what we wanted, even if it wasn't, we had a bunch of money, we were still able to make it by because he provided. And we kept having hope in him every single time. That's why I love Luke 1:45. You are blessed because you believe what the Lord said he would do. So when we follow him and lead into him and we abide in him and we have a relationship with him, he blesses us back tenfold. So I want to leave you with this. When it seems like you're in your final hour, all hope is lost, I want you to stop thinking from an earthly perspective. Stop thinking about monetary issues and just think and lean on the living hope that we have. And that's Jesus Christ. There's some questions for you guys. Hope you have a good night.